Um, Segueing into uh, a big part of your life right now, you are currently a fellow at for Ensemble Connect through Carnegie Hall, which is fantastic. For those that may not be familiar, can you share with us a little bit about what this fellowship looks like and the kind of work you guys do?
Yeah, so Ensemble Connect is a fellowship designed by Carnegie Hall and like co-sponsored by Juilliard.
Okay.
And it focuses a lot on chamber music, community outreach,
Mm,
and education.
mm,
So there are 14 fellows in our current class.
mm.
It's a 2-year program. Every class is totally new people. So
Okay.
there's actually going to be auditions this upcoming spring.
Sure.
And it's really trying to get the like next leaders of classical music
Yeah.
to apply, and they really give us a lot of resources to think about how to have creative careers. I
Mm,
think of course some people from Ensemble Connect go on to have like really amazing orchestral jobs.
yeah.
A lot of people stay in New York and freelance.
Mm,
A lot of people end up teaching, but there's just so many different ways that music can be used, and I think they just want to open our eyes to that.
yeah.
Yeah, we're each partnered with a New York City public school. I'm working with the Frank Sinatra School of the Arts in Queens,
Okay.
and they're an amazing high school with performing arts students. So
Mm.
I've really enjoyed getting to go there. I was just actually just there for my first visit
Oh,
yesterday,
yeah, yeah.
so it was really nice to see all the kids and my partner teacher.
Mhm,
And so we do about a little over 20 visits per year
mm,
at our partner school. And we go around to the different schools and do these things called interactive performances, which
mm,
are carefully crafted, usually scripted shows that take audiences through a selection of music. Usually there's 4 to 5 people in a group.
mm.
So it's chamber music esque. And it's a show where hopefully the audience is brought in and shown the music through a very specific lens,
Mm.
where they're able to interact with the music in a slightly deeper way than they would if we just played it for them without saying anything.
Yeah, yeah, of
So the
course.
idea is to be, yeah, as it's called, an interactive performance. Usually
Mm.
we involve the audience either in like saying things out loud, clapping. They're asked to offer their own opinions. Sometimes
Oh,
we
okay.
create a story with them or they help us compose something.
Mm.
It really depends on the show,
Okay.
but I've actually found that to be one of the most valuable things we've done at
Mm.
Ensemble Connect,
Mm.
just because it really does make you think, wow, the way you present a piece of music and the way you talk about it
Yeah,
or share it with the audience outside of the playing really matters.
yeah,
Um, because there's a lot we assume as musicians.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
there's a lot of knowledge we already have
yeah.
just from our training
Right.
or from being around other musicians that we
Sure.
assume
Yeah.
often too much about what normal people would think. So it's been really nice to do that, and we also go around to other community venues like
Mm.
shelters, prisons, hospitals. It
Yeah.
really depends. And the other component of Ensemble Connect is chamber music. And so
Mm.
we play roughly like once every month at Carnegie or Juilliard.
Okay.
Um, there's usually a pretty diverse program, a lot of contemporary music, a
Mm.
lot of the old classics as
Sure,
well.
sure.
And we're actually going to Spain, to Madrid,
Okay.
this November for a partnership residency
Okay.
um, with both the art museum there and the Reina Sofia,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, this.
which should be fun.
Yeah,
So really looking forward to that.
yeah.
But yeah, Ensemble Connect's been great. It's definitely sort of like a part-time job, I would
Mm.
say. Some weeks are busier than others. It
Sure,
definitely goes in cycles. But
sure.
yeah, I'm excited, and the time has been flying fast. It's crazy
Yeah,
to believe we're already in the second year. But excited for the new class to come in
yeah,
the year after.
yeah. Well, and I love what you shared with us about like kind of putting on these shows to make it more interactive with the audience because I
Hmm.
think one of the biggest critiques that non-musicians make about classical music even to this day unfortunately is just how daunting it is to even go to a concert because there's so many little etiquettes that you may or may not know
Hmm.
going into a concert and it's like well like how am I supposed to enjoy something if I can't really know for sure what I'm getting out of it. So
Hmm.
the fact that you guys are doing these shows, basic or concerts that make it to where the audience members are able to really interact, and that's
Hmm.
really I think that's such a wonderful thing, and it really should more organizations should be doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's really like basic things such as like don't ask yes or no questions
Mm,
to the audience. Like
mm,
don't ask something that has a correct answer or not,
okay.
because you don't want to make the audience feel um, like they don't know the right thing
Exactly.
already. Like
Yeah.
you don't want to turn people off from what you're trying
Yeah.
to share
Yeah.
with them
Exactly.
before
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
start playing your
Mm,
music.
mm,
But like a really interesting example would be, I mean, this wasn't even through Ensemble Connect, but I was
mm,
thinking about it over
mm,
the
mm,
summer
mm.
because a lot of musical organizations are doing more outreach concerts now,
Yeah.
which I think is great.
Yeah.
But now I've seen a couple where I'm in situations and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I think we should do it this way, because
Yeah.
it's like I would slightly alter what we're doing.
Right.
But I saw an example of a situation where someone was asking a lot of like answers with correct questions. It felt like a quiz, and the
Yeah. Yeah.
kids were kind of like getting quieter and quieter and
Yeah.
like withdrawing a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I tried to just say, we ended up talking about acoustics, and I was like, I'd love to see some hands.
Mm,
Who can tell me what the best acoustic in your house is? Because
mm,
everyone has a different answer, but
yeah.
all of them are like an expert of their own house. And
Mm,
they were all actually so excited to talk about it. Some
yeah.
people were like, my hallway, or like the dining room has
Mm,
wood floors.
mm,
And I think just giving kids an opportunity to realize that they already interact with sound, they already have such an awareness
yeah.
of the sounds that are around them,
Yeah.
and to like make them just tune into that more often, like
Yeah.
that's honestly the best thing I could try and ask for
Yeah.
as someone coming into their lives for 40 minutes
Right.
to share some music,
Yeah.
just to reintroduce it as something that isn't that inaccessible to them.
Yeah. And the other thing that you mentioned that I just absolutely love, just the overall or the overarching mission to reach out to communities. And that's something that I think the Cavanis really did so beautifully at CIM. Just
Hmm.
as a participant of chamber music at CIM, you were, I don't want to say required, you were given the opportunity to perform an outreach performance at the end of the semester. And I think
Hmm.
that's such a pivotal part of all musicians' lives, or it should be, because um, yeah, again, I think we don't want to be on some like pedestal as a musician. It's like we need to be able to like make ourselves and our music accessible to people that otherwise may not have that in their lives, right? So
Exactly.
um just yeah, with what you're doing, and again, like I can't emphasize my love for the Cavanis enough, because I think they really were so great and passionate about just making themselves available to the community. So that's
Most
a yeah, very
definitely.
admirable. Yeah.
And I feel like as I've gotten older and gotten to meet more musicians,
Yeah.
I think there's a big difference between people who are great musicians
Mm.
and people who are both great musicians and great educators. And
Yes.
I can
Yes.
honestly say that the Cavanis fell into that
Yeah.
second
Yeah.
category. Because not everyone is able to share what they know in a way that's like generous,
Yeah. Yeah.
or in good spirit.
Right.
I've definitely seen examples of people like not being so
Yeah.
nice
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
students, or
Yeah.
maybe just sharing what they know, but in a really unfortunate way. I think it's great to be good at what you do,
Yeah.
and that doesn't mean you have to be like an a-hole about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
mean, we
Exactly.
all know people like
Yeah. Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I've come to really believe through my own mentors and seeing the other students that study with my teachers
Yeah.
that like you can be the kindest person
Yeah.
and also help your students grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just one more thing. Yeah. Just because with um like outreach concerts, my mom was a pianist, and so
Mm-hmm.
and like very young, like my brother was a violinist, and
Mm-hmm.
so she would organize these like holiday concerts at like different nursing homes every year.
Mm.
And I just always, like, that was such a big part of my life. And honestly, like, what I loved about that is just like how grateful the audience members were, because obviously, if you go to a nursing home, they're at a stage in life where they're not able to go to concerts. So to bring concerts and music to them, it just means so much more for all of us, I think, than just giving concerts at a hall or
Mm-hmm.
something. So yeah, there's just something very meaningful about that.
It can be such a different relationship
Yeah,
between the audience
yeah,
and the performer
yeah,
than, yeah, a concert hall space
yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Another thing I think that Ensemble Connect teaches us is like not to assume anything about the audience,
Yeah,
because I think sometimes you just don't know who's in that room.
yeah,
I'm not saying it would be someone who's necessarily an expert, but you don't know what someone already knows.
yeah.
There was this really crazy incident where last year my interactive performance group went to this NYU Child Hospital downtown, and We only played for like 3 or 4 kids right in front of us, but they were
Mm.
broadcasting it to the kids in the wards, which was nice.
Yeah.
But one of the kids there was this really excited kid. He loved violin,
Mm.
and at the end, he was like, "Can you play something fast?" And so, for whatever reason, I decided to start Paganini 16 and did, like maybe
Yeah,
15
yeah, yeah,
seconds of
yeah.
it. And he was like, "I know that song." And I was like, "What? You're like 12." Like, I didn't say that,
Oh,
but
yeah.
and he was like, "Paganini Caprice 16." And he literally named it, which was insane
Mm.
because I would never have looked at this kid
Yeah.
and imagined that he would know the Paganini
Yeah,
Caprices.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, you just never actually know who's there.
Mm.
And so just, yeah, always presenting things hopefully in a way that's like both making music accessible, but never making the audience also feel like they don't know anything.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I think there's a lot people do know already about
yeah.
music, and like tapping into that and like prior knowledge is so important. And that makes people, I mean, any conversation, people like feeling like they understand where you're coming from and what you're talking about and
Yeah,
how it relates to them.
yeah.
That's what people enjoy about other people.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly.